Hello and welcome back to Pre-Algebra with Miss Betsy. Today what we're going to be discussing is a basic plan of attack for solving word problems. If you're trying to use these lectures to track through a particular book, you need to be using Pre-Algebra for Christian Schools. It's published by Bob Jones University Press. You have to have the first edition. The second edition that's come out, they've really changed the order of things, and the the two books are not compatible, so make sure that you have the first edition. If you just want some good ideas for how to approach word problems, come along and watch this video and see what you learn. So we'll go ahead and pray and get started. Father God, thank you once again for who you are. Thank you for the beauty of the world that you create around us, and for the way that you just paint the sunrise across the skies. Father, I ask that you would help us to study diligently the things that you put before us and give us the ability to comprehend them. And I thank you for your presence with us, and I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, you know that there is a lame joke coming, and I really wish I could hear some of your responses to the lame jokes that I've been using. And I'm looking here, seeing where my cheat sheet is for my lame joke, and now I can't find it. I'd have to pull an old one. Can you tell me why it is that 6 is afraid of 7? Well, 6 is afraid of 7 because 7 ate 9. So, yeah, pretty bad. Depending on what time you're watching this video, you might be really groaning. Okay, we are going to be studying through 4 basic, very simple, straightforward steps that we want to use when we are attacking a word problem. If you're in that text with me, we are on page 22, and this is section 1.6. It's called Problem Solving, the 4-point checklist. And you might think, okay, just glancing over these, read, plan, solve, check. Well, yeah, that is really pretty straightforward. What am I going to learn or gain from this section? Well, I've told you before, I hate to read to you. I am going to read to you now. First thing that you want to do when you are attacking a word problem is to actually read the problem. You're going to read the question so that you can understand it and that you have a good grasp of any needed details, any necessary details in that problem. You'd find it amazing how many people will have a word problem that they're trying to work in, and number one, they either get panicked because they think, oh no, it's a word problem, I can't do it, or they get in a hurry and they'll read that problem so quickly that they miss pieces of information, or they don't even finish reading it to the end. So the first thing you want to do is to read the problem very carefully to make sure that you understand the question, so that you honestly know what it is that they're asking you to find, and to make sure that you don't miss any of the necessary details of that problem. The second thing, well, it would make sense that you ought to be planning something, but take a second to see, okay, what exactly do I want to do to solve this problem? Am I going to add something together and then subtract and then divide? What order am I going to have to follow so that I get the right answer to this problem? The third step, obviously, is you've read it, you've figured out exactly what it is you're looking for, you've analyzed the question, and you've come up with a plan of attack to use. Well, now go ahead and work your plan. Solve the problem by carrying out the plan that you have set in place. Key here, though, is having a plan. And then finally, you get the answer in this 4th step right here, the check part of the problem. That is what most commonly, well, probably second most commonly, the thing that is omitted when you're working with word problems. You get your answer and you just go ahead and write your answer and go on. You don't take the time to go back and check it. You want to make sure you've got a reasonable solution. Let's say the question has something to do with how fast Sally is driving the car, and you come up with an answer of 720 miles an hour. Well, come on, guys. You know, maybe something that's on one of these crazy videos, or a movie that you've been watching. They've created a car that can drive faster than the speed of sound, but in real life it's not likely at all that 720 miles an hour is going to be the speed of the car. Or maybe it is how tall is the ladder. You have to figure out how tall the ladder is that reaches up the tree in going at an angle. That would be more like a geometry or trig problem. And you come up with -7. Okay, does -7 make any sense for the length of a ladder? So no. So go ahead and take the time to read the problem. Make sure you've read it slowly, thoroughly, completely, and that you understand all the necessary details. Come up with a plan, solve that plan, and then once you get a solution, take the time to go back and check and verify, make sure that that solution makes sense to you. So let's go ahead and work a couple of problems. We have a sample, an example in here on page 22, and this is what the problem is. Tickets for the school play cost $3.75 for adults and $2 for children. Now, obviously this is an old text. Not very many plays are going to cost that much money. If 94 adults and 141 children attended the play, what was the total amount of ticket money collected? Okay, we've read it. It's a little bit lengthy, but take the time to break it apart. First sentence tells us the price of the tickets. It tells us that adult tickets are $3.75, and then it tells us that children's tickets are $2. So you have two pieces of information here, two separate prices according to the age of the person who is attending the play. Then the second piece of information tells us how many adults there were and how many children there were who attended the play. And then finally we get to the question. The question is, what was the total amount of ticket money collected? Not the amount of money that it cost the adults, not the amount of money that it cost the children, but the total amount of money that was collected. So we've got this figured out. We now know what we need to do. We're going to have to come up with a plan. How are we going to find out the total amount of money that was collected for this play? Well, you're going to find out how much money they collected from the adults at one price. You're going to find out how much money they collected from the children at another price. And then to find, like that question said, the total amount, you're going to add those two amounts together. So, step 3 says let's go ahead and solve our problem. So, we have $3.75. I'm just going to write some notes here. $3.75 for an adult. We have $2 for a child ticket. And we have 94 adults, I think. We have 94 adults and 141 children attended the play. How are we going to find out how much money we got for the adult tickets? How are we going to find out how much money we got from the children's tickets? Well, we're going to take 94 adults times $3.75. And I know you're going to groan, but no, you may not use your calculator. We're reinforcing the ability to do manual multiplication. So, $3.75 times 94 adults. I don't like doing multiplication in my head either, but it's a skill that you need to have, because as you learn to do, I said multiplication in my head, multiplication by hand, you've got to be able to understand the things that you're punching into your calculator or your computer, or else you're not going to be able to understand if the solution you come up with is reasonable. So, 4 times 5 is 20, carry 2, 28, 30, carry 3, 15. See, this is making me a little bit nervous here. 9 times 5 is 45. I much prefer algebra to arithmetic. 4, 7 9s are 63, and 4, 67, 27, and 6 is 33, I hope. Otherwise, I'm going to have to redo this video. 0, 5, 2, 5, 3. Let's see. Okay, I've done my multiplication. We're multiplying a decimal. This is a review of what do you do when you multiply decimal numbers. When you have a multiplication problem, you count up the number of digits that occur after the decimal place, and that's where you locate your decimal in your answer. So, the amount of money that was collected for the adult tickets was $352.50. Children's tickets were $141. They were $2 a piece. So the amount of money collected for children's tickets was $282. How do we find the total amount of money collected at this play? Add the amount of money collected for the adults to the amount of money collected for the children's tickets. $352.50. You add those together, you have $634.50. And then you would say that this is collected for the play, or the total receipts for the play, collected for. Put some form of a description on your total answer. Now, let's think about this. Is this a reasonable answer? We read the problem, we planned what we were going to do, we solved the problem. Now we need to make sure to check and see if the answer that we came up with is reasonable. Is $634.50 a reasonable answer for the amount of tickets? Well, what might be an idea of what we could do? Could we maybe estimate, or could we maybe round numbers? Well, $375 is about $4. 94 adults, and that might round down to 90. What if we said 90 times 4 for the price of the adult tickets? Just an estimate. We're trying to get a ballpark idea here. 4 times 9 is 36. It's 360. We have 141 children. Well, 2 times 140 would be 280. So we have 140 kids times $2. It's $2.80. It's not $2.80, $280 for an estimated total amount of money collected for that play of $640. That's an example of a way that you could check this problem. And of course you'd want to go through and check your math a second time. This is simple math, you're just doubling it. The 375 times 94 is not difficult, but it's not an immediately fast multiplication necessarily. So you just want to take the time to make sure that you have done your multiplication correctly. Okay, I think everybody sees what's going on, and you can see that when we checked by estimating, we came up with numbers that indicated that our solution was very, very reasonable. Okay, we're going to do 2 more problems, a little bit more quickly than this. These are the skill check examples on page 22 and 23. Once again, I get to read to you. And this tells us that Amy bought a 10-pound bag of potatoes for $3.29, 3 pounds of apples at 99 cents a pound, and honey baked ham for $9.78. How much change did she receive from a $20 bill? We've read it to understand the question and get all of the details that we need. Now, obviously she's going shopping. So what is it that we want to figure out? Well, we want to figure out how much money she spent on groceries, right? Well, do we really? Let's look back at this problem. She bought potatoes, she bought apples, she bought a honey baked ham. What's this last sentence say? It says, how much change did she receive from a $20 bill? So the final answer is not the total cost of the groceries. The final answer is how much money did she have left after she paid for her groceries. So if we want to plan what we want to do to solve this problem, we are going to have to figure out how much she spent on those groceries together, aren't we? But then we're going to have to take the amount of money that she spent on the groceries and subtract it from that $20 before we end up with the correct answer. So, how are we going to actually work this? Well, how much did she spend for potatoes? The potatoes were $3.29. And then it says that she bought 3 pounds of apples at 99 cents a pound. Another little twist there. Did the apples cost 99 cents? No. The apples cost 99 cents a pound, and she bought 3 pounds. So 3 times 99 cents. Now let me tell you my little mental trick here. That's $2.97. And I didn't do it by multiplying 3 times 99. I said 3 times 100, 3 times a dollar is $3, but it was just 1 cent less than a dollar 3 times, so I have $3 minus 3 cents is $2.97 for apples. I want to encourage you to develop the habit of doing mental arithmetic. It'll help you a lot when you're going through checkout lines. It'll help you to just be more aware of money that you're spending and change that you should be receiving. Our final amount of money that she spent was $9.78 for the ham. $9.78. How are we going to find the total amount of money that she spent? Yeah, got to add these up. 9 and 7 are 16. And 8 is 24. We carry 2. 9 and 9 is 18, 20. We carry 2 again. 2, there's 14, 16. $16.04 is the total amount of money that she spent on these groceries. 16, 8 is 24, carry 2, 13, 20, carry 2, 14 and 2. $16.04, and see, I went back and checked my addition as well. Now, is this our answer? She spent $16.04 on groceries? No. Remember, it was asking how much change did she receive from the $20 bill. So now, what we have to do is subtract that $16.04 from $20. Line up your decimal points. And she received $3.96 change from her groceries. So she made sure that she had enough money when she went in there. She stayed within her budget to buy this amount of money, and she has change of $3.96. All right, we'll look at this last problem now. This is skill check number 2, and it's on the next page in your book. Whitewater Rentals has 9 canoes and 5 kayaks that can be rented for $24 a day, and once again, that's a way low price. One day, 3 canoes and 2 kayaks were not rented. How much money was collected for that day? Lots going on in this problem. We want to make sure that we totally understand the question and that we've picked out every specific piece of information in here that we need. Okay, I'm going to skip back to the bottom of that problem. How much money was collected for that day? The vendor here wants to know, okay, how much money is supposed to be in my register at the end of the day? We have 9 canoes and 5 kayaks. 2 different boats, but they are both rent for the same amount of money. 9 canoes, 5 kayaks, at $24 a day. So is there really a need in this problem to differentiate between canoes and kayaks? Is that what it said? Yeah, between canoes and kayaks, simply for the purpose of figuring out how much money you have? No, because they're both have the same value attached to them. It's different than from when we had one price for adult tickets, one price for child tickets. But the reason that the business owner probably is wanting to keep track of this is he's saying, okay, do I need to have more kayaks or do I need to have more canoes, just from a business standpoint? Okay, second piece of information says 3 canoes and 2 kayaks were rented. No, it doesn't. But that's what our mind most likely is going to say. It says one day 3 canoes and 2 kayaks were not rented. So, what can we do? There are 2 different approaches that we can take to this. I'm going to show you the first one and say how many water vehicles are there available total. There are 14 total. Boats, kayaks, canoes, all together that are available, but 3 canoes and 2 kayaks were not rented. 5 not rented. If 5 vehicles, if 5 boats were not rented, how many were rented? We're going to subtract 5 from 14, and we're going to say that 9 were rented. So we know how many were out on the water that day. And the question says, how much money was collected for that day? So the way you figure out how much money is collected for the day is you figure out how many boats were out on the water that day. You multiply it by the 24, which is the amount of money that it costs to rent each boat. So 24 times 9, 36, 3, $216 was collected that day for renting those boats. See what we did? We figured out the total number of boats that were available. We subtracted the boats that were not on the water that day. Then we took that number, 9 boats that were actually rented, multiplied it by how much it cost per day to come up with $216 that merchant collected for the day. Now, there's another way that you might approach this. I think it's cumbersome, but some of you, it really doesn't matter if it's cumbersome if it works, unless you're sitting in the midst of trying to do a huge long math assignment. So you are looking for the most expeditious way to do something, but sometimes, our minds think differently. So how else could we do this? Well, what do you think? What if we figured out the total amount of money that this merchant could make if everything was rented? If he had rented everything, that would be 14 times 24. 4 times 4 is 16, 96. The most money that he can possibly make in a day is from his boat rental is $336. That's if he has 9 canoes and 5 kayaks rented for a total of 14 boats rented. 14 times 24 is $336. Did he rent all of those? No, he didn't rent all of those. He only, there were 5 of those vehicles, I believe, that he didn't rent. Let me verify. He didn't rent 5. So how much money did he miss? 5 vehicles weren't rented. That's $120. So you could say that he could have earned this much money. He did not get to earn the $120. So 336 minus 120 gives us that same number that we had to begin with of $216 that this merchant earned over the day. Now, I would think that probably the majority of you watching this video would think, why in the world would I take that approach to solve a problem? Most of us wouldn't take that approach, but my purpose here is to show you that frequently with word problems, there's more than one way to attack a problem. You get the same answer, you might come in the back door to get there, but you still solve the problem. So the more of these word problems that you do, the more you'll see the faster ways to solve them. But don't get frustrated, just keep working on them. If you don't solve it the same way as your friend solves it, or as mom or dad or your brother solves it, if you're getting the same answer with word problems, you're at least on the right track there. So I want to encourage you to not get frustrated with word problems. You'll get better with these as they go on, and maybe I'll talk to you on Friday and find out that this was not much of a challenge at all. Send me a text if you have difficulties, and I'll see you next time.